And so the fundamental question that you may get asked is, why does broadband matter? I've always changed that to a declarative statement, why broadband matters. And for these next couple of slides, we're going to talk about why broadband matters. As we talked and we learned about in the earlier module, we know that broadband transforms, sustains, and connects communities. We've experienced this firsthand during the last year and a half of dealing with COVID. Right, those businesses that were, easily able to flip a switch and go into a digital format, whether it's delivering, utilizing delivery services or offering their menus or services online. We're able to, more easily, if you will, navigate the pandemic, right? It's not that they weren't impacted, but they were easily able to navigate it versus communities, again, that did not have it. Think about it from the educational standpoint. Those communities, their schools that were able to just flip a switch and then go through educational platforms, deploy those platforms to students, and then have students utilize those platforms were, again, not perfect, but more easily, more readily available to navigate the pandemic. Think about those communities that weren't able to do that. Those businesses, those entrepreneurial activities, those schools, both K through 12 and higher education institutions that really struggled, and how that impacted both the students, the residents, and the citizens in that area. That is what we are targeting and hope to address with this program. So we're going to go through some statistics real quickly here in these next few slides. We talk about the homework gap, or you hear about the homework gap. Prior to the pandemic, roughly 58% of students said they used the internet to do homework every day or almost every day. 64% of students with no home internet access often or sometimes leave homework unfinished because they lack internet access or a device, a computer or a laptop. And then students with no internet access, spend an average of 30 minutes extra per night on homework. So think about that from a productivity standpoint, per day, per week, per month, over an entire school year, how that sets those students back. And then we also know that students in certain locations who don't have access to the internet actually drive to another location. Maybe it's the library, maybe it's the local business, maybe it's the Starbucks or the coffee shop, just to do homework in the parking lot where they can access the internet. You also know that broadband transforms education, right? Students with high-speed home internet generally have GPAs that average a half letter grade higher, like the difference between a B and a B+. Right? We also know and understand that using technology for collaboration is the favorite learning method for 50% of elementary school students. And a student without basic digital skills is 30% less likely to advance to college or some post-secondary school or education. So again, we understand the impact that this has on education, and more importantly, think about what's going on this past year. While not ideal, students who are able to just flip and utilize, distance learning, taking classes online, again, versus students who are not able to do that. And again, how that builds into the inequity that we experience in this country. From a workforce standpoint, we also always talk about technology in our workforce development and economic development. Right? We talk about the importance of developing these technological and digital skills. 77% of all new jobs require at least some type of technology skill. And we measured some data in early April 2020, early in the COVID-19 crisis. 60% of employed Americans work from home. Right, double the number that did so, the month before. So now think about fast forward almost a year plus now, we estimate that number is even higher than 62%. But again, just a 50% jump in 1 month per the early phrase or time frame of the pandemic. Keeping with the theme of technology in our workforce, let's talk about the impact on earnings the money that you earn through your job. In 2019, the median wage for people with computer and technology experience was nearly $89,000, which is more than double the median income of $39,000 for all other occupations. So think about that. More than double the amount of earning potential just as a median wage if you have computer and technology experience. Now, also in 2019, the median wage for telecommunications line installers and repair persons was more than $65,000 a year. That job generally requires just a high school degree, and there are currently more than 200,000 positions that are open right now across the country. So think about that in terms of earning a decent wage and then the availability of these positions available across the country right now. We also understand that broadband transforms business. Right? Digitally advanced small businesses earn 2 times the revenue per employee, and they are 3 times as likely as peer businesses to create new jobs. So again, let that sink in. 2 times the revenue per employee and 3 times as likely as their same businesses in their same category to create new jobs. So when you talk about economic development in the community, having robust broadband infrastructure only helps that. Again, for every job created by a small rural communications provider, nearly 2 additional jobs are created for service, support, and supplier industries. For those of you who study economics, we know about the derivative effects of the economy, derivative effects of certain industries. Broadband has been studied and been found to have derivative impacts beyond just that of the end user. So again, for every job that's created, there are nearly 2 additional jobs that are created in other industries and other sectors just to support that one job that was created in the communication sector. We also understand that digital technology has the potential to increase gross sales for rural small businesses by almost 21% in the next 3 years. That represents about $84.5 billion per year. Additional gross sales could contribute almost $47 billion to US GDP per year and create over 360,000 full-time equivalent jobs with almost $15 billion in wages per year. So again, thinking back to those businesses that transformed during the pandemic, that were able to utilize digital technology in utilization of broadband technology in their delivery of service, whether it was the mom and pop restaurant all the way up to the consulting firm that operated in town. Think about those communities, those businesses that could not do that. That you could not do in-person sales. You could not go to a digital platform. How are you then supposed to, in a pandemic, create revenue, sell product, motivate your employees, right? Market to new segments, expand your products and services. So even in the pandemic, studies have shown, there are certain segments of community, entrepreneurs, businesses that did thrive. So just think about that as you move forward. So as you're working in the community and you have someone ask you, well, why? Believe it or not, we work in communities where people don't understand why broadband is so important, or they downplay it. And so we have actual demonstrable statistics that support that. Whether you are a business, a local government, working from home, whether you're a student, it impacts everything that we do. And so it's so vitally important that we help these vulnerable communities move forward to develop broadband plans that will eventually lead to the deployment of broadband infrastructure, as well as digital inclusion, adoption, and equity programming to help those citizens as well. We also know that it impacts other sectors like agriculture and farming. There is a industry now that's focused just on precision agriculture and precision farming, right? That is fully connected and digitized farms that result in economic benefits of nearly 18% of total agriculture production, and that segment is currently growing. Precision agriculture has the potential to increase sustainability in agriculture by reducing water usage by 20 to 50%, by reducing fuel usage by 40%, and chemical application by up to 80%. So again, even though you may live or work or your school may be located in a rural area where there's a lot of agriculture and farming, again, having broadband access directly impacts the productivity and the ability of that farm to be successful in this new digital age economy. And then finally, we know that broadband transforms the communities in which we live, right? More than 75% of those who have recently accessed federal government information have obtained it online. So think about, vaccine information, think about COVID-19 information, you think about government service information, the child tax credit program has just started getting that information out to the public. Again, more than 75% of those who recently accessed that information did that online. We know that telehealth and telemedicine visits increased exponentially, 154% in March 2020, in part due to COVID. We were not allowed to go to doctors' offices. And so a lot of our providers and our doctors switched to telehealth and telemedicine platforms to ensure that we've received the care that we need. And then we know that broadband access can increase home values by an average of 3.1%. Or have we learned recently, we talked to some community members, try to sell a home that doesn't have broadband here in 2021, and that's going to be very hard to do. So again, it definitely impacts what we do in local communities on an individual basis. And then we also know that broadband is critical to the growth of American communities on a number of different sectors, right? We talked about business efficiency for American farmers. We talked about how digital equity is essential for broadband adoption, right? The value of broadband to small businesses and economic development is very key and is very vital. Broadband access is essential to student success. All right, there are studies that have been done on each one of these. And then finally, as we talked about, broadband connectivity is critical to America's health, particularly telemedicine and telehealth programs. So this link here to some fact sheets that were conducted by this group, Broadband Connects America, again, will provides more detail, more data, how broadband impacts these particular sectors and why it is so important as you're working in the communities that you're working with, that they develop the plans that they need to be able to move forward to attracting broadband infrastructure, deploying those infrastructure, and again, ensuring that those who are vulnerable in these communities have digital access equity and the training that they need to utilize broadband connectivity and the devices. It's so very important, vitally important that we do that as we move forward. Thank you for joining us for this first module. We have several other modules that will be forthcoming. Again, if you have any questions, any comments, we are available to assist you. But particularly, I want to thank the school, thank the faculty and staff, and you students who have signed up for this program. You are doing yourself, your school, your institution, and the community a great service by participating in our college partnership program. So thank you again, and we look forward to speaking with you, and you will be advancing on to the next module. So thank you very much.